SpaceX has managed to get the attention of some of the top companies and governments out there. They have launched a couple of satellites for other countries and lots of companies. The company has done so well that they have even managed to get contracts with the greatest space agency, NASA. And now the company's reach might just go as far as the Pentagon. The Pentagon and the Department of Defense have seen a lot of potential in the company, and they are thinking of using the company to deliver some of their military supplies through SpaceX rockets. But is this even possible? Hello everyone, and welcome back to Liftoff. Today, we take a look at the possibility of the Pentagon using SpaceX as a transporter of military supplies to orbit. The Pentagon has seen a future where they can use Elon Musk's SpaceX rockets to deploy a quick reaction force to help them perform another Bengazi-style attack. With the help of the Freedom of Information Act, The Intercept was able to get some of the documents that showed all of this. Sometime in October 2020, the U.S. Transportation Command, U.S. Transcom, gave an announcement saying that it was partnering with Musk's SpaceX rocketry company to determine whether it was possible to blast some supplies into space and back to Earth as an alternative to flying them through the air. U.S. Transcom is an office in the Pentagon whose main job is to decide how cargo will be moved to keep the American military presence around the world running smoothly. Before we continue, please take a moment to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for updates on Elon Musk, space, Tesla, science, technology, and so much more. And with that, what is the Pentagon planning with SpaceX? According to a presentation given by Army General Stephen Lyons, the goal of this partnership would be to fly a C-17 cargo plane equivalent anywhere in the globe in less than 60 minutes. When you consider the military logistics of this, it would be a great leap forward that was previously restricted to science fiction. According to a U.S. Transcom press release, they might one day use SpaceX's massive Starship rocket to quickly move critical logistics during time-sensitive contingencies and deliver humanitarian assistance. Even though the Pentagon said that these short space trips might be used to move unspecified personnel, the focus of the announcement was mostly on moving freight. However, according to the internal documents that were obtained with the help of the FOIA, U.S. Transcom has a more imaginative use in mind. According to a 2021 midterm report that was drafted as part of the partnership with SpaceX, U.S. Transcom gave an outline of both potential uses and pitfalls for a fleet of militarized starships. If you think about it, SpaceX is already functioning as a defense contractor. The company has already launched American military satellites, and it has also bolstered Ukrainian communication links. But despite all this, the report outlines 3 examples of potential future DoD use cases for point-to-point space transportation. The first one, which is probably directed toward American worries about Chinese dominance of the world, notes that space transportation provides an alternative method for logistics delivery in the Pacific. The second one is all about the imagination of using SpaceX rockets to deliver an Air Force deployable airbase system. This is mostly a collection of shelters, vehicles, construction equipment, and other gear that can be pre-positioned around the globe and moved to any place the USAF needs to stand up air operation. Which one of these 2 ideas do you think seems possible? Let us know in the comments section below. However, the third imagined use case is more provocative and not so unoriginal. This one is only titled Embassy Support. It mostly envisions a scenario where a rapid theater direct delivery capability from the US to an African bear base would prove extremely important in supporting the Department of State's mission in Africa. This would potentially make use of a quick reaction force, which is a military term for a rapidly deployed armed unit that is mostly used in times of crisis. According to the document, the ability to even demonstrate this use of a SpaceX Starship could deter non-state actors from aggressive acts toward the United States. Even though this scenario completely lacks any sort of details, the thought of an African embassy being under sudden attack from a non-state actor is there because of the infamous Bengazi incident that occurred in 2012. This was when a group of armed militants attacked an American diplomatic compound in Libya. This forces a quick reaction force to be enforced later, but it was criticized for being told that it arrived a little too late to help. As much as the American generals are dreaming of commandos arriving by rockets to fight off North African insurgents, some of the experts say that this scenario seems like something straight from a sci-fi story. For a long time now, Elon Musk and the Pentagon have been making stratospherically grand claims that dazzling and entirely implausible technologies, whether they include safe self-driving vehicles and Hyperloop or railguns and missile-swatting lasers, are on the way. According to another US Transcom document, each of the Starship high-altitude tests that were carried out by SpaceX ended with the craft exploding. However, the test that was conducted in May 2021, which was after the document was already created, was successful. Some people greatly criticize this whole idea, and William Hartung, a senior research fellow at the Quincy Institute who mainly focuses on the US arms industry and defense budget, was one of them. He said, "What are they going to do? Stop the next Bengazi by sending people into space? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense." Hartung ended up questioning the extent to which the rocket-based quick reaction force would end up being meaningful, let alone being possible. If a mob's attacking an embassy and they dial up their handy SpaceX spaceship, it's still going to take a while to get there. It's almost like someone thinks it would be really neat to do stuff through space, but haven't thought through the practical ramifications. Hartung even went to the extent of pointing out the Pentagon's track record of space-based fantasy weapons, such as the Star Wars missile defense. The Pentagon ends up spending billions of dollars on projects that will eventually amount to nothing. When SpaceX was requested to comment, they never responded. US Transcom spokesperson John Ross wrote in an email to The Intercept that interest in PTP deployment is explorative in nature, and our quest for understanding what may be feasible is why we've entered into cooperative research and development agreements like the one you reference. He then added that the speed of space transportation promises the potential to offer more options and greater decision space for leaders and dilemmas for adversaries. When Ross was asked when US Transcom thinks that it will be able to deploy the quick reaction force using rockets, he said that the command is excited for the future and believes it's possible within the next 5 to 10 years. Caitlin Johnson, who is the Deputy Director of the Center for Strategic and International Studies Aerospace Security Project, also had something to say. She said, "My 2 cents are that it's unlikely that they would be able to evacuate anyone quickly via rocket. Even if the technology were sound, the small question of where to land an enormous 165-foot Starship rocket, which is the world's largest rocket, still remains. If it's in a city, it's not likely they can land a Starship next to the embassy." Johnson added that if they were to hypothetically launch an embassy rescue mission, they would still have logistics issues about how they would get the forces onto the launch vehicle, where they would land the vehicle, and how they would get the forces from the landing site to the embassy or base. Furthermore, all of this has not yet been tested and proven. Johnson even stated that it sounded more like science fiction. The document also raised another issue, which is whether or not other countries will let a SpaceX military rocket drop out of space and onto their turf. However, the idea of American Starship troopers is not entirely new. Back in the 1950s, Werner von Braun was a Nazi rocket scientist but ended up being an American superhero, had the idea of transporting US troops by rocket. Later on, in the 1960s, defense contractor Douglas Aircraft proposed Project Ithacus, which was a spacecraft that was capable of carrying up to 1,200 soldiers to their destination in an hour. Most recently, according to a report from Popular Science in 2006, the Pentagon has always dreamed of an age where Marines could touch down anywhere on the globe in less than 2 hours, without needing to negotiate passage through foreign airspace. It is clear that this is an idea that has been there for a long time and is just coming back to light recently. But do you really think that it is possible to launch a quick response unit with the Starship rocket? And if so, do you think it would help with the logistics of the Pentagon? Feel free to let us know your thoughts in the comments section below if you think this mission is possible, or if you think it would help the Pentagon in some way. Also, before you go, please take a moment to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more updates on Elon Musk, space, Tesla, science, technology, and so much more. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.